Hello, welcome to 15minuteguitar.com. In today's video lesson, we're going to be talking about the dreaded bar chords. The reason why I think everyone struggles with bar chords is probably because they just approach them a bit too early in their guitar playing career. It's something I think that you should look at when maybe you get a bit more intermediate level. It's definitely not something to look at as a beginner because it will really put you off and you'll find it very difficult. And also I think a good point to know when you're at that level is when you've probably mastered all of your open chord shapes. So all of the chords, when I say about open chords, just all of the chords down in the low position of the guitar, which has all the open strings within the chords, so like E major, A major, D major, etc. All the varieties of those chords. Once you've nailed those and you've got them all sound nice and clear, then you can start to move on to thinking about bar chords. Okay. So in today's lesson, I'm going to teach you the 3 shapes on the E string and the 3 shapes on the A string, and how they relate to the open chord shapes. So if you know your open chord shapes, this is going to be a hell of a lot easier. All right. So first thing we're going to start with then is the shapes on the low E string. The first one we're going to look at, and the 3 shapes we're going to look at today are going to be major, minor and dominant 7 shapes. The first one we're going to look at is the major shape with the lower E string, is the root. If you can play an E major chord to begin with, we're in a good position. So you normally play an E major chord like this. What we're going to do is we're going to swap our fingers. So instead of being fingers 2, 3 and 1 like that, we're going to swap them so we've got 3, 4 and 2. And now we've freed up the first finger. By freeing up the first finger now, this becomes our bar finger. What I can do now is I can move that shape, which is our E shape. So this is important to remember this. That's my E shape. I'm going to move that up and we're going to take that up to fret number 7. Okay. Once we're up at fret number 7, we're going to bar the first finger flat across fret number 5 there. Okay. Now, a few little tips for this to get clear bar chords is keep your thumb roughly sort of in the middle of the neck on the guitar, okay? You're not going to be able to do it with the thumb over the top like this, too low on the neck like that, and it's going to have the wrong angle. So it's really important with a bar chord to get your thumb in a good position on the back of the neck. Mine's normally roughly in about sort of the middle position of the neck. Then I use my first finger, and what I do with my first finger, I don't just keep it like that, I sort of push it out a little bit. Imagine like sticking your belly out sort of thing. So it's just doing that with my finger, really pushing it out, because it gives you more surface area for the strings to in contact with the finger. What you don't want the string to do is, if you have it like that, is the string to go in these little grooves of the finger there, because then the notes won't ring out clearly. All right, so it's really important we do that with our finger, then we sort of really push it out. So you imagine sort of sticking your belly out. That's what we're doing with our finger there. So you're going to push your finger across the 5th fret, pop that E shape back on, and then obviously pressure is important on this. Don't press down too hard because you'll push the strings out of tune, and you won't be able to sort of maintain good, endurance if you carry on playing bar chords for a long period of time. Your fingers and your hands just starting to ache a lot. So press your fingers down firmly, but not over press. And then let's see what we've got. So I'll play that chord. So this is a E major shape. Okay, so it's an E shape, we call this. The root is on the low E string because here's my root note here. Okay, and that root note there is actually an A note, if you didn't know. So that's an A note there. And then if I play the chord, we have, great, that's an A major. Okay, so that's an A major bar shape. You want to make sure when you do your bar chords to, when you first start out, pop them down like that, and then pick out the individual strings. So you go. Okay, so mine's sounding good, I'm happy with that, but yours might sound like this to begin with. Okay, so don't be happy with that, don't go, oh that'll do. Don't settle for that, keep working on that, moving your fingers, adjusting the hand a little bit, and the grip, until you get the notes at the top to... until they ring out nice and clear. Once you're happy with that and they're clear, you can then move on to learning the next shape. All right, so that was an E shape. It's a major chord, okay, because that comes from an E major chord down here, so it still keeps the same characteristics of the type of chord. So it's an A major, that is A major chord in an E shape, and the root note for that chord is on the low E string. Okay, right, next shape we're going to look at then is the minor shape. What we need to do now is we're going to go from an E minor shape down at the low position. We normally do an E minor chord like that with fingers 2 and 3. We're now going to do this with fingers 3 and 4, okay? So we've freed up that first finger again for our bar. We're going to slide it up again to fret number 7 as we did before. And then same as before, we're going to press down really hard with the first finger across fret 5. Also, just to say, when I bar, I don't just put my finger just enough to go to the E string. I actually push it up higher and protruding over the edge of the fretboard, just a little bit. Because, as I said, you've got more surface area then, more of the usable part of the finger covering the board. And that's what we want to do. So not like that, okay? We want it up like that. So pitch it a bit further and keep that finger as straight as you can to try and keep that really flat, that finger, and push it out like I said. So here's the E minor, here's the A minor chord now then. This is A minor again because we've got the root note still here on the fifth fret of the E string, low E string. So that's the A note, okay? So that tells you the root, that tells you the, the key. So that's going to be A. And then the shape here is the minor. So this is the E minor shape. So this must be an A minor chord. All right, so here we go. What's really important in this chord is that the fifth fret on the G string rings out clearly. If that note doesn't ring out, there's not much difference between that and, like a power chord or something, or a major chord, because that's the important note that makes it sound minor, okay? If I don't have that note, it just sounds like a power chord, okay? So that note, if I press down now, you can really hear. There it is. That's the note that makes it the minor, okay? So that's your minor third note. So that's chord, so far we've done chords number 1. We did major chord in an E shape, and we did a minor chord in an E minor shape, okay? So next one to do, and the last one on this with the root on the E string, is the 7th, the dominant 7th shape. Now again, this comes from an E7 chord in the low position, and normally we do an E7 chord like this. What we're going to do for this one is we're going to use fingers 2 and 3, like that. So we freed up again the first finger, okay? Anything we're doing with a bar, we want that first finger free, so we can use that as the bar finger. Slide that up again to fret 7, bar across the fretboard again at fret 5, and then press down really firmly, and then... Now, the important note in this chord is this one here, which is our flat 7. So it's really important in our dominant 7 chord that we've got that note ringing out nice and clearly. So there he is. Okay, so if you're not getting that note and you're getting like a... You can really hear the difference. It's really important to be really, really accurate with your bar chords. Okay, so we've done major, minor, dominant 7th. Which is great because that's already hopefully opened up a whole new set of chord shapes that you can do across the fretboard. We can move that up the fretboard in all the 12 keys, starting from E here, and we can work up anywhere. So we've got E, as we move up, that's F, F sharp, that's F sharp major, G major, G sharp major, A sharp major, B, etc. And we just carry on and carry on all the way up to the top of the guitar. So those shapes open up a whole new a whole new set of chords that you can use across the fretboard. So instead, what you want to try and do, and if you're probably thinking, oh, what song should I learn to do bar chords? A good song to do with a lot of bar chords in that I know is Don't Stop Me Now by Queen. That's a really great one, just as an example. However, what I would like you to do is to probably relearn a song you've already learned in open chords, which you've normally done something, say, in open chords that went like... Yeah? So you want to relearn that using the bar chord shapes that we've learnt today. All right, so like A minor will be here. F we would probably do here. So C we would do in a different shape. We haven't learnt it yet, so I'll just move up here. So here, so. And then I did G, I think. Okay, so I think it's really important to just relearn something that you already know really, really well, just using bar chords. It's a great way to approach getting your bar chords straight into your playing. So the final 3 shapes then. This is going to be with the root now on the A string. So we're using the same finger again, the first finger. We're going to start in the same order, so we're going to start with the major chord first. So being on the A string now, the first one we want to look at is an A major chord shape. Now normally A major has a few varieties. We can normally do it like that. Some people do it like that. And some people do it like that. Okay, so it depends what you do. I'm going to do it like that. That's how I normally do it. And then what I'm going to do today is I'm going to use fingers 2, 3 and 4 there. Okay. And then I'm going to slide that up to 7 and bar my first finger across the fretboard, across to string number 5 or the A string there. Okay. Now what that is now, you're thinking, oh, that's great, that's an A chord. It's not an A chord, it's just an A shape with these fingers. The root note here is now on the 5th fret of the A string, and that note there, if you don't know, is a D note, okay? So this is now a D major chord. Strum that all the way down. That's my D major chord. Now, there's a different variety for this one, so there's a different, there's another shape that you can do. This one is more of a classical way of doing it with the fingers 2, 3 and 4. And the more in the rock pop way of doing things is that we have a double bar. So we have the finger 1 there across to fret 5, and then we have the third finger here barring across the D, the G, and the B strings. We don't worry about it. We sacrifice the high E string because it's not going to ring out because of the block of that finger there. It's not going to ring out, and also that one's not barring all the way across. So we're going to sacrifice that one, and then we're going to hit from the A, D, G, and the B. So to make our D major chord, exactly the same as that, just different register. Okay. One thing to say about this one when you do this shape. Use the tip of your finger instead of coming all across the fretboard like I said earlier. Now we don't want to do that because we don't want it to be on that root note. We want it to be on that one, on the D note there. Use the tip of your finger now just to touch, just ever so slightly, just to touch, not to press down on, but just to touch the low E string. That's acting as a mute on the low E string. So if we accidentally hit it when we strum, it's not going to ring out in the chord and muddy up the chord. Okay, so just use the tip of the finger just to rest on it, which is muting the string for us when we strum. So try both varieties, see what you like, because even though it's a classical, and you might think, well, I'm a rock and pop musician, I don't play classical. Fine, it doesn't matter. I've seen musicians that play rock and pop that play like that. So it's what works for you. Okay, that's just the guide. That's sort of a classical approach, and that's more of a rock way of doing it. Great. So that's our A major shape, and that's a D major chord. Okay, this is the thing. Try not to get confused with the shape and the chord name. The chord name is wherever the root note is on the bar, and the shape is just what shape it comes from in the open position. That's important to remember. It takes a while to get used to that, but and I know people find that quite confusing. But see if you can get the hang of that. So remember, the root note is the lowest note that you play here, and then the shape is just whether it's an A shape, an E shape, or whatever shape it may be. So that's the A major chord. We've gone from there all the way up to there. A major shape, sorry, and the D major chord. That's that. What we're going to do now is make it minor. So we're going to go back down to our A minor chord down here in the low position. I normally do A minor like that. What we're going to do again, so see if you can remember, trying to free up the first finger. So we're going to put 3, 4, 2, and then 1 we're going to keep there, and then we're going to slide that up to 7. All right, and then we're going to bar across to the 5th string, and the tip of the finger just touching the E string to keep it muted. And we strum that one all the way down from the 5th string to the 1st string. And that's now an A minor shape, as you can see the chord there. But this is a D minor chord because of the root note there. So it's a D minor chord in an A minor shape. Okay, one more to do then. We've got the full set of chords. Next one you're going to do, last one we're going to do, is the dominant 7 shape, okay? So we go back down now to an A7 chord shape, which we do like this. Normally we do that. Now we could use that and move up with the bar, but that's going to be a big stretch. So we're going to do 3 and 4 now on these fingers. Then we're going to slide that all the way back up to fret number 7 there. All right, we're going to bar across fret number 5 again, tip of the finger touching the low E string, keep it muted, and then. Now the important note this time is this one here, fret number 5 on the G string. So make sure when you press down, you can hear that note there, and it's also not being obscured by this finger at all touching. It's really important for the posture. It's really difficult, so we don't really want to. It's a fine line between our hands up like this. If we bring our hands up like that to keep this one clear, then the bar loses its bar. It's not barring anymore. So it's just getting used to where it has to be to get a clear note here and the bar nice and flat. Great. So that is a D7 or D dominant 7, and that's in an A7 chord shape. All right. Right, so if we start putting some of these shapes together, and what I would do as an exercise first of all is just play through these 3 shapes. So the 3 on the E string with this, major, minor, and dominant 7. Okay, and make sure you know the names of those as well. Don't just remember the shapes. It's important to know the names for it to add any value to your playing. And then the next one's going to be here, so the major, like that, or like that, and then the minor, and then the dominant 7. Okay, and what I'm going to show you now quickly is just the first part, as I said, to Don't Stop Me Now, because that's a really sort of nice one to apply this to. The first chord that you use in Don't Stop Me Now is an F major chord, and you could do it as an open chord down here, but because today's lesson is all about bar chords, we're going to force ourselves to play a bar chord. So the first part, and I'm only just teaching you the first part to practice this, is an F major chord down here on the 1st fret in an E shape there, okay? and then we're going to strum that. Just strum it once, one strum on bar chords. We don't want to be thinking too much about rhythm when we're learning bar chords. We want to forget about the rhythm. We just want to do one strum, get the chords nice and clean. So we're going to go 2, 3, 4. The second chord you play is A minor. So the quickest way to get up to there is going to slide this shape up and then take off the second finger, which becomes an A minor shape. There's the E minor shape there, but this is an A minor chord because of the root note there. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The next chord is D minor, so that's easy to drop down into our A minor shape, and that's a D minor chord there. 2, 3, 4, and then we go to G minor here, which is down on the low E string, and then you've got this shape, the E minor shape. And then the last chord of this part is going to be C, so we're going to drop that down underneath there. Okay, I'll play that through again and I'll explain why I picked those chord choices and why I didn't pick ones higher up. So it goes F, 2, 3, 4, A minor, 2, 3, 4, D minor, 2, 3, 4, G minor, 2, 3, 4, and then C, 2, 3, 4. And that's just a good little practice to run around the intro part of the Don't Stop Me Now by Queen. The reason why I picked these chords, just because I said earlier why I was explaining that, you want to go really from the closest position, yeah? So I could play F minor up here. Or F major, sorry. It's exactly the same. However, it's a bit too high register. This doesn't sound the same. It sounds a bit too high to start the song, you know? That's got a bit more meat to it, so I wanted that. Okay, we'll carry on now, because the next bit's got a 7th chord in it. It goes back to F again. And we're not going to do strum pattern, we'll just do one down strum. Then it goes to F7, which is really easy because you just remove your little finger and press a little bit harder down on the first finger, so that note, the flat 7 rings out. So, and then we go to B flat major, which is here. G minor, and then up to D7, which is up here. So let's put that together so far. Nice to say one strum, so 2, 3, 4, A minor, 2, 3, 4, D minor, 2, 3, 4, G minor, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, back to F, 4, 1. F7, 2, 3, B flat, 2, 3, 4, G minor again, 2, 3, and then D7. And that's where we're going to stop that intro section there. Okay, so plan of action for learning the bar chords: learn the 3 shapes on the low E string, the major, the minor, and the dominant 7th, and then learn the 3 shapes on the A string, the major, the minor, the dominant 7th. Obviously, there are shapes for major 7th and minor 7th, but you just need to start somewhere, and a good place to start is the major, minor, and the dominant 7th chord shapes. I hope you enjoyed that lesson, guys. Any questions, if you're struggling with any parts of this, don't forget to comment on the video, and we'll get back to you as quick as we can. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks very much.